Welcome to another video. Hope everyone's doing alright and that, and the fourth and final part of this epic space shuttle build. And so far so good. If you've been following the series so far, you'll have seen everything starting to come together nicely now. In part 1 I managed to build up the payload. That's ready to go in the shuttle when I start putting it together. In part 2 I built the stand up, built the petrol tank up, had my first taste of the decals. And in part 3 we built the rocket boosters up. Again, I struggled with the decals a little bit. I lost one at the top, which put us on the back foot a little bit. But overall, I think they've come out looking alright. In this part, I'm hoping to get everything finished up, bring all the elements together, and hopefully have a cracking shuttle at the end of it. I'm going to start by putting the shuttle together, the main event. I'm going to glue up as much as I possibly can. Then we're going to paint it. Hopefully, the decals start behaving themselves a little bit better, and I get them off a lot easier. I think these smaller ones are going to be a lot easier to handle than the big ones of, say, the petrol tank and that. I've picked the shuttle scheme to go for, and it's probably the one that stands out in my mind the most, and it highlights the dangers of space travel and how difficult it is. And I've gone for this one, Challenger. Who can remember Challenger? It was the one that blew up on live TV. Absolutely devastating. It took off, flew for a few seconds, then just exploded. I'm sure it was the one I had the first civilian passenger on, a teacher. It might be a little bit longer this episode, but hopefully we'll have a space shuttle to be proud of at the end of it. So grab yourself a cuppa, put your feet up, let's get into the hyperlapse and see this thing come together. there we have it, the Airfix Space Shuttle complete. It's not the finest model I've built, but for the fight it gives us, I'm pretty pleased with how it's come out. Right, before I find it a spot in the cabinet, we'll just have a little look around it. It's some of the highs and lows, because there was many. My first major problem was the decals again. I knew I was going to have some issues with them, but I wasn't expecting as much trouble as these United States ones give us. They just started disintegrating in front of my eyes. It turned into some type of jigsaw puzzle. There is a couple of nibbles gone out of the flags. I couldn't help it. I tried my best. That one, I thought I'd saved it, then I lost it. I couldn't even find it. I did lose the Challenger one here. That was the day after. I'd put it on, come back, and half of it was missing, so I swapped it out for this NASA one, just so there's a full word there and that. And yeah, fitment. I struggled with getting some of the parts to fit together. There wasn't many parts in it, but I really struggled trying to get this body lined up with the payload. This side lined up absolutely perfect. That side, I glued it, left it overnight, and it's sort of pulled itself away from the air side of the payload. But the tail went together nicely, and the nose cone went together nicely, so there's no gaps in that. So if you look at it from the right angle, you can't really notice, so I sort of got away with it. But a major one I had was these windscreens. I knew early on that these windscreens weren't going to fit properly. I tried them up for size and that, and there was a gap in the middle. I thought there might have been an extra piece, so I looked in the box and that there was no extra piece on the decals or anything. And yeah, it looks pretty ropey that, like, because it's pointing upwards. Hopefully your eye's not drawn to it and that. But fantastic, but like I say, overall, pretty pleased with how it's come out. Like I say, I'm not 100% convinced of this stand. It did come apart on us, and I realised I had the stand on back to front. I've weighted it down with batteries, so hopefully it's got like a counterlever and that, and it's not going to topple over or anything. But yeah, so there you have it, the Space Shuttle, loosely based on Challenger. Fantastic. So right, let's find it a spot in the cabinet. I have measured it and it does fit just. Right, I found it a spot here, centre stage on the third shelf, alongside me other aeroplanes and me tanks and that. It wasn't quite good enough to spend any time on the top shelf. A few too many faults on it, and a few too many mistakes by me. But yeah, fantastic. I think it looks mint in amongst the planes and that. Let's have a look at the next build and bring this video in. Right, all that's left is to thank everyone for watching. If you liked it, hit likes and subscribes, do all the YouTubey stuff for us. Because see, I'm not a professional modeler, I'm just a guy having a go, trying to get better one model at a time and that. Hopefully, giving you a little bit of encouragement to pick up a kit yourself. Because what I'm doing is pretty achievable by everyone and that. Fantastic, next time we're going for a smaller kit. We're going to be building this thing. It's an Airfix Japanese tank. It was the cheapest kit I could find on Amazon. The cheapest Airfix kit I could find on Amazon. But that was a few months ago, so things might have changed. I kept kicking this one in a touch for better builds. But I want to have another go doing the camo with a blue tack. And I want to have another crack with the weathering set and that. So this is probably ideal. Then we'll be moving on to a bigger build after that. And fantastic. So, like I said, if you liked it, hit likes and subscribes. And hopefully, I'll see you on the next one. See you later.